the history of beer. 20 facts that will blow your mind. You cracked open a cold one last weekend. Maybe it was a lager, maybe an IPA, maybe something with a fruit name you can't pronounce. But here's the thing. Beer is older than writing, older than the wheel, older than bread. We're brewing beer before they even figured out how to make a sandwich. And the story of how beer shaped civilization is absolutely insane. Number 1. The earliest evidence of beer dates back 13,000 years. Archaeologists found traces of beer in a cave in Israel called Rekafet Cave. The Natufian people were making beer from wild wheat and barley. They weren't farming yet. They were literally just mashing up wild grain and letting it ferment. Predates agriculture. Humans learned to farm because they wanted more beer. Let that sink in. The Sumerians wrote the first beer recipe. On a clay tablet from around 1800 BC, they inscribed what historians call the hymn to Ninkasi. Ninkasi was the goddess of beer. The hymn is literally a brewing manual disguised as a poem. It tells you how to make bat beer, a type of bread, and then how to ferment it into beer. The Sumerians loved beer so much they made a goddess out of it. Dedication. In ancient Egypt, beer was not a luxury. It was a food source. Workers who built the pyramids were paid in beer, 4 to 5 liters per day. That's roughly 10 punts. Imagine getting paid in beer for manual labor. You'd either become the most productive worker in history or the least. Probably both, depending on the day. Number 4. The Code of Hammurabi, one of the oldest written laws, had specific rules about beer. If a tavern owner overcharged customers or watered down the beer, she could be drowned in her own product. That's right. The first known punishment for bad beer was the death penalty. Nobody messes with beer quality. Not even in 1700 BC. 5. Monks in medieval Europe basically invented the modern beer industry. When the Roman Empire fell, monasteries became the centers of learning and agriculture. Monks started brewing beer for themselves, then for pilgrims, then for everyone. First quality control experts. They also invented hops as a preservative. The word beer in German comes from the same root as the word Bible. Were considered essential for survival. 6. Hops changed everything. Before hops, beer went bad in weeks. Brewers used a mixture of herbs called Grut, which was expensive and controlled by the church. When German monks figured out that hops preserved beer for months, it was like inventing the fridge. Beer could suddenly be shipped across oceans. Hops turned beer from a local drink into a global commodity. The church was not happy about losing their Grut monopoly. The Reinheitsgebot, or German beer purity law, was passed in 1516. It said beer could only contain water, barley, and hops. Yeast wasn't listed because nobody knew what yeast was yet. This law is still technically in effect today. Germans have been drinking the same recipe for over 500 years. Meanwhile, Americans can't even agree on what to put on a hot dog. The Czech Republic drinks more beer per capita than any other country. About 140 liters per person per year. Roughly 300 punts. The Czechs have been brewing since the 13th century. Pilsner, the most popular beer style in the world, was invented in the Czech city of Plzeň in 1842. Before that, most beer was dark. Pilsner was the iPhone of beer. It changed everything. 9. Beer was banned in Iceland for 74 years. From 1915 to 1989. The ban was so strict that even cooking with beer was illegal. When the ban was finally lifted, Icelanders celebrated by drinking so much that the government had to raise alcohol taxes. The first beer sold after the ban cost about $10 a can. Icelanders paid it without blinking. They had waited long enough. Prohibition in the United States didn't actually stop people from drinking. It just made everything more complicated. brewers switched to making near beer, which had less than 0.5% alcohol. Anheuser, Butch started making ice cream. Coors made ceramic tiles. The bowling alley became popular because it was a legal gathering place where you might